Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I have learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And I actually wasn't going to make a video over on this channel today. I was going to let you guys kind of catch up on the videos that I've been posting lately over here. And I wasn't really feeling pulled to make any kind of specific video over here today, but I had watched a video yesterday on YouTube and I kind of couldn't get it out of my head. And so I was sitting at my computer and I was uploading videos and I was still thinking about this video that I had watched. And I thought, well, that is such a perfect video to talk about and make on your Peterisms channel. Like, why don't you just talk about that? So what I want to talk about today is when we are living with or we have an addict or an alcoholic in our lives. And what do we do with that, right? And I get so many questions from people that will say, I'm married to an addict or an alcoholic, or, you know, my spouse is an addict or an alcoholic and I don't know what to do, or my sister or my brother or my parents, I don't know what to do, right? Like my kids, I like, you know, a neighbor like that I really care about, and like, I just don't know what to do in these situations. And my recommendation is always Al-Anon. You know, I always recommend Al-Anon or sister programs like Anon, which is for, you know, Narcotics Anonymous. And I always recommend these 12-step programs that are for friends and family members of alcoholics and addicts. I also recommend family counseling, individual counseling if your partner won't go with you or your family member won't go with you, to start working on setting limits and boundaries for yourself, because we can get healthier even if the addict and alcoholic that we're living with is not, right? And one huge part that comes along with that is setting really uncomfortable boundaries for ourselves. We don't set them for the other person. We set them for ourselves. And I think sometimes, like for me, when I look at my history of having had alcoholics and addicts in my life, you know, and the main person that I talk about is my mom, because she was so open about her recovery. But I've had many alcoholics and addicts in my life, right? And obviously being in a 12-step program, I've had many friends in my life that have come in and gone out and, you know, whatever. And I've talked about that on my vlog. I've had many friends of mine that have gone back out. I've lost them as friends, and people always say to me, so like when people go back out there and they start using, does that just mean that you're not friends with them anymore? That's not really what happens. What happens is I continue to try to stay in contact with those people, but I don't really hear from them. You know, over time, they kind of like go back to what they're doing. And so there's like a loss in my life. There's like an empty space. We set limits and boundaries for ourselves. So I was watching a video yesterday by Jessica Kent, and I don't know if you know who Jessica Kent is. I did a video with her on my main channel, and we did a collab together. I don't know, it was like 2 years ago. And so she is a channel that got started, or she's a YouTuber that got started by doing a lot of videos talking about having been in prison. And she talks about her addiction, and she talks about her recovery and struggles that she's still had to this day with that. And her partner, Reese, has had as well. So I was watching this video, and I've kind of watched recently her talking about her partner's struggles and his, you know, going back out there and using and things like that. So she did this video and she talked about how she had to leave. And that was the boundary that she set for herself. And she says in the video, you can go watch it. It's a fantastically honest and vulnerable video. And she talks in there about how she and her daughters are living in a hotel, and that she just had to set some limits because she couldn't do it anymore, and she had to take care of her kids, and she had to look out for what was best for her, and she doesn't know what's going to go down the road, what's going to happen down the road, but right now this is what she has to do. And you know, in situations like that, I think we often want to be problem solvers and get into the solution. You know, and I have found, and I don't know about you, but I have found in my life that when I'm really, really struggling in situations, often I just need to vent. Often I just need to, you know, be able to talk to my friends and say, this is what I'm going through. These are the cards that have been dealt to me. I don't necessarily need solutions right now. I don't necessarily need people saying, you should do this or you should do that or whatever. Often, and I'm just kind of stream of consciousness talking about this, but often I just feel like I just need to talk. I just need to, you know, be vulnerable and be raw. And that was what I so appreciated about this video. You know, And it was so funny because I know Jessica, and I know that she really cares about like her microphone and her camera and things like that. At the beginning of, I mean, y'all know I don't. I've never had a microphone on my camera. I probably never will. And at the beginning of the video, she's like, you know, I don't have a cord for my microphone, so I don't know how this is going to sound. And I was like, girl, it doesn't, just talk, you know. And she did, and she was just so genuine, and it was so beautiful. It was such a beautiful video because she's connecting with so many people that have gone through something similar, you know, and sharing it. And I think people don't really understand how difficult it is to share with your audience like what you're going through, because this is a situation that I think a lot of people don't realize, right? Is that 2 days later, 2 weeks later, 2 months later, either your opinion might change, your perspective might change, your decision might change, and then people judge you for that, or they hold that against you, right? And so it's like, if I share this with you, but tomorrow I decide to get back together with this person, or, you know, I do something different, then people are they going to hold that against me? So to get in a video and say, I need to just share with you guys where I'm at today and be vulnerable and authentic with my audience, I just think it's so cool. I love it. And that is what I am attracted to with YouTubers, right? So I watched this video, and, you know, I was going to text her and just like, you know, send her some words of hope or whatever. And, but I commented on the video and I said, sending prayers to you all. And then I said, and I didn't really know what to say because I didn't, like, in that moment want to be a problem solver. I just didn't, you know. It's like, I know, like, I've been there, right? And it's like, in that moment, the last thing you want to hear is somebody saying what you need to do. I hate when people tell me, like, well, what you need to, like, listen, Linda, I've already had a hard enough time as it is. I don't need somebody right now grating on my nerves, telling me what I need to do, okay? I know what I need to do. I've known what I needed to do all along. Maybe I didn't do it. Maybe it's on my time right now, you know, and maybe it's on God's time. I don't know, but I'm doing the best that I can. Please, please. And the comments were beautiful. I mean, the comments underneath the video were just absolutely so supportive and beautiful. But I wanted to, you know, give her some words of encouragement. And so I was thinking to myself, well, what have I been told in times where I have, like, had a, you know, a spouse or a partner or a family member or a close friend that has had addiction issues that I'm really struggling with, and I'm talking to somebody, you know, and time again, I am reminded of the 3 C's of Al-Anon. And even though I'm not in Al-Anon, and I have to tell you, I did this video the other day and I was talking about Al-Anon in there. And the person that asked me to do the video thanked me on the video. And it was so cool. And so I just want to say I appreciate that. That really meant a lot to me. But I got a comment on there, and it was from somebody that is in Al-Anon and has been in Al-Anon for quite some time. And so if you don't know, Al-Anon is a 12-step program for friends and family members of alcoholics and addicts. And what I said in my video was, you don't go to Al-Anon to get tricks of the trade to fix the addict, okay? That's not why you go to Al-Anon. You don't go there to figure out all of how to fix the addict or the alcoholic, right? You go there to work on yourself. And so this person had said in this comment that they were really struggling because they felt very judged and criticized when they went to Al-Anon at first. And I have heard that at times from people. I've heard that from people that come to 12-step programs of any kind, right? And so I was talking in there about, like, you know, trying out different meetings and really realizing that it's the work you have to do on yourself. And so this person commented, this woman commented, and she said that she had been in Al-Anon, I think it was like 15 years or something, and that when she first started going, that she felt the exact same way, but she found a meeting, like a program, a group that worked for her, and that the group that she's in now is a group where she feels safe and comfortable. Maybe that'll change over time. But she said, Peter, you nailed it. Something like that. She's like, you got it exactly right. Like, it's about working on yourself. Now, I have gone to Al-Anon meetings. I've gone to many Al-Anon meetings, but I'm not a member of Al-Anon. But I'm always reminded in times of difficulty, the 3 C's of Al-Anon. And the 3 C's of Al-Anon are, I didn't cause it, I can't cure it, and I can't control it. And I think it's such a paramount way to remember to where are my feet? You know, like, I love that saying so much. A friend of mine in recovery always says that. Like, when I'm struggling and I'm like, okay, well, this week I have to do this, and next week I have to do that, and I'm like spinning out of control. Do you ever do that? Do you ever spiral and spin? And I'm like, oh, I'm going all over the place, right? My friend always says to me, where are your feet? Well, my feet are in today. Like, I look down, They're my feet. They're right below me. I'm in today, you know? And I have to remember that. Well, that's what the 3 C's do for me when I'm spiraling and spinning out of control, trying to fix the addict or alcoholic in my life, which ultimately is me trying to fix my life, because I am afraid that this person that is wheeling out of control in my life is going to come in and swoop in and take away all kinds of peace of mind and serenity that I have in my home, in my life, in my friend group, or whatever, right? So I'm trying to control that. Well, any person out there that knows any alcoholic or addict knows we're always trying to control something, and we're not any good at controlling anything, which is why we're addicts and alcoholics to begin with. So the 3 C's remind me, okay, in dealing with that addict or alcoholic, I am powerless. I didn't cause the disease, I can't cure the disease, and I can't control the disease, okay? And I have to remember that, because then what that asks me is, well, what am I in control of? I'm only in control of myself. The only person that I have any kind of power or control over is myself, you know? And I can only control my reactions to things. I can only control the way that I perceive, well, maybe I can't even control that, but I can control based on my perceptions the way that I respond to things, you know? I've had to work a long time on not being reactionary and being more responsive, you know? On hitting that pause button when somebody said, and I want to react so bad, right? And I hit that button, that pause button, I go, okay, let me think about it, right? And in those moments, I say to myself, you know, are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? Where are you in this? Because I don't want to be part of the problem today. I want to be part of the solution. And so when somebody presents something to me, like with my mom, you know, like when people would say that to me back in the day, and they would say, you know, like even after she had been sober, when she and I would get into it or something, you know, and people would say, you didn't cause it, you can't control it, and you can't cure it, and you can't control it. You know, what I had to realize was I wasn't responsible for my mom's addiction. I wasn't responsible for her sobriety. You know, I wasn't responsible for how happy she was, how healthy she was. I wasn't responsible for anything that came along with her sobriety or her addiction. None of it. I wasn't responsible for it, period, you know. Had there been things that I had done through the years that enabled that or made it or set boundaries? Sure, absolutely. I enabled my mother's addiction. Even as a kid, I did, you know. By not saying things or overlooking things or whatever, you know, or sitting in counselor's offices and never bringing up that my mom had a drinking problem. Were there boundaries that I set? Yes, absolutely. Told my mom I couldn't even talk to her for the first 6 months that I got sober because she was somebody that was a major drinker in my life, you know? But ultimately, what I realized was I'm not responsible for that. I'm not responsible for her happiness or her health or anything in her sobriety, right? Like, I'm not responsible for that. And then what that makes me responsible for is myself. And I think sometimes as codependents and as people that have alcoholics and addicts in our lives, we so want to have to clean up their messes and take care of them, because what that does is it deflects any kind of attention that we have to take off of ourselves. Because if I'm cleaning up their messes and I'm taking care of them, I sure as hell don't have to take a look at me, right? I sure as hell don't have to take a look at, well, is there something that Peter could work on? Is there something that I could be doing that's a little bit better? You know? So I'm always impressed and inspired and motivated and just passionate about anybody that is willing to set a strong boundary and is willing to get vulnerable enough to say, hey, you guys, I'm doing the best I can. You know, I'm struggling right now, but like, I'm just getting through this day by day, because that's what the rest of us are doing, right? But I think to always remember when you're dealing with an addict or an alcoholic in your life, remember those 3 C's, okay? You didn't cause what you're going through. It's not because of you, you know? You didn't put the drink in their hands. You didn't put the needle, you know, and you didn't do all that, right? You can't cure it. You can't take it away. There's nothing that you can do, you know? And I say this to people often, and when I say this to people, they don't like hearing it. They don't like it when I was going to say they don't love it. Well, they don't love it either, but they definitely don't like it. When I say to them, if love was enough, we wouldn't have any need for 12-step programs, maintenance drugs, therapy, on and on and on. We wouldn't need all of that if love were enough, you know? If somebody loving an addict or an alcoholic was enough for them to stop, we wouldn't need all that. But that's just not the reality. You can't cure it. You can't. And you can't control it either, you know? You can't put limits and boundaries around what you're going to do. And one of the reasons why I love reading the book Codependent No More is like, there's a story in there where the woman's like, she starts buying her husband, I think it's like a 6-pack of beer a night. She's like, you're just going to drink the 6-pack of beer. And he totally agrees to it, right? He's like, okay, yeah, like I'm just going to drink a 6-pack of beer because that sounds really good to an alcoholic that wants to control their drinking, right? But by that first beer, he's already off to the races, you know? It's like one is too many and 1,000's never enough. And so by that 6th beer, he's fighting for the keys, ready to get out to the, and she's like questioning like, well, why is he going to the liquor store and now he's staying out all night? Like, I bought a 6-pack, wasn't that enough? No, you can't control it. You can't. And you got to give all of that up. You got to give up the being able to cure it, the cause, and the control. You just have to give that all up. To God, to the universe, to whatever, you know? And work on yourself and take care of yourself. And that is why, like, Al-Anon is a good program. But if you don't want to go to Al-Anon, I don't know, go to church, go to therapy, work on meditation, self-reflection, whatever you need to do to run, exercise, whatever you need to do to work on yourself, but make sure you are okay. Because as long as you're okay, you're going to do okay when it comes into dealing with alcoholics and addicts in your life, you know? But I think it's when we are always trying to fix that person or always trying, you know, like, and if there's somebody out there that's watching it and you're like sitting there and you're watching this and going, okay, this is so me, you know, realize watching this video, you're not going to fix the person. You're just not. You can offer them help. There's no reason to not offer them help and say, hey, when you're ready for treatment, I'll drive you. You know, you want to go to a meeting? I'll help you find one. You know, you want to go to this or go to that? I'm more than willing to help you with that. Okay? But I'm not willing to sit here anymore and be berated and walked over and hurt and have my life just, you know, whatever. And so it was interesting because I read in the comments, maybe it was my vlog, maybe it was this video, I don't know, or this channel, I don't know. One person said, or maybe it was her channel, I don't know, that said, you gotta leave. Like if you're in this situation, you just have to leave. And there was another person that said, I've stayed in a situation like this for 25 years and my husband's still an alcoholic and I've never left, but I've gone to Al-Anon all these years. And I thought, there's so many different avenues for how to handle this situation, right? But that doesn't mean that you aren't healthy in it. That doesn't mean that you can't have the most amazing life ever, right? You know, it's like my sponsor always says to me whenever I want to get in the middle of somebody else's drama, she goes, just let them spin. She goes, just let them twirl, just let them spin, let them twirl out of control. She's like, they're over there dealing with their stuff. You don't have to be part of it. Don't engage. And sometimes, like, I so want to engage, right? Like I do, you know, I so want to engage. And she's like, no, just let them twirl. Just let them twirl. You know, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out on their own. And that's it, right? And we got to take care of ourselves, you know? And like my coin said when I got out of treatment, you know, 27 years ago, I must first be a value to myself before I can be a value to somebody else. And that doesn't just go for alcoholics and addicts. That goes for anybody out there. Even if you don't have an alcoholic or an addict in your life, you must first be a value to yourself before you can be a value to somebody else. So anyway, let me know what you think about that video in the comment section below. I love you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow.